Okay, before I go anywhere, I just want to make sure that if you do buy early access, first thing you want to do when you load up Subnautica is do not pick the experimental graphics option. It's not explained very well. For some reason, the only way to do it is if you, uh, when you're logging in, like at the screen I'm at right now, just go defaults, just all defaults, just whatever it has. Don't do window, don't click anywhere. Just hit OK, yes, whatever, and just jump right in, because otherwise it'll put you in the beta client or the experimental client, which is basically their client that just is constantly being updated and new stuff being added in, and it's not stable at all. I mean, it'll lock up, crash, give you all kinds of errors. Just unless you're a developer, I don't know why you'd even want to do it. I mean, obviously it's up to you. To me, it's just not worth it. But anyway, like I said, just run the default and you'll be fine. Anyway, once you get in, there's two options. There's two ways to play, basically. You have your basic mode, and then you have what's called survival mode. And survival mode, all it is, it adds a food meter and a water meter. So you have to eat and drink all the time. And it's easy to do. It's easy to, I mean, really all you got to do is grab fish and cook them, and that's pretty much it. I eat mostly this type of live mushroom coral. I don't know, I can't remember what exactly it's called, but it's not hard to do, and the game is a bit simple as it is right now. And to me, the survival mode gives it a bit of complexity that it kind of needs. But this little machine will make all the stuff that you need. It'll make food that you're going to want to learn how to make, and water right away. It automatically just looks in your inventory and sees what you have to make. It's kind of funny that it can make so much stuff out of so little materials, but whatever, it's okay. I actually started this game at night. This is a continue, obviously. I've got a little ways into it. At night, the graphics don't really show what it can really do. I mean, it doesn't show as much, but at least from watching this, you can tell you can still function. You can still do stuff at night. You can still gather resources. It reminds me. One person called it Minecraft underwater. To me, it's more like 7 Days to Die, as far as the crafting and picking up material and all that stuff. But from what I can tell right now, it's not as, I don't know if modular is the right word. It's not as customizable. You can affect the environment to an extent. Obviously, you can build stuff, but I wouldn't say that. I mean, as of right now, that it's really aiming to make it to where you're going to be like basically terraforming. You're not going to be building underwater pyramids, but I don't know. It's definitely very early right now. But what I like about it is, for one, it's really laid back. There isn't a sense of imminent danger all the time. It's not like, excuse me, it's not like 7 Days to Die where you got zombies, groaning and knocking at your door all the time. It's really laid back. The fish, 25%, in general, are passive. Unless you get real close to a few of them, they're not going to attack you. For the most part, you're not, there's something about diving and water simulation that, you know, kind of it is a little bit creepy, but you know, overall it's just relaxing, um, and it's really about underwater exploration. You can there's caves. Right now you start out in a reef type of area, but you go off into much deeper water, um, and you just have to keep your eyes open and look for the different kinds of material that you need. It's not gonna. It's really, there's no rush. I mean, you need to keep your water and food levels up. But apart from that, it's not. You know, it's not gonna be a stressful game for the most part. I mean, like I said, when you're diving deep and when you're diving around fish that are obviously probably going to bite you or attack you, then yeah, it adds a little bit of attention to it. But mostly, it's basically like building your own underwater home. Right now, there isn't much you can build in beta. I built a little submarine, a little mini submarine. It's really cool. I mean, you jump in it and you whiz along. It's like kind of like having a mount in an MMO, but in a different way. And it helps you explore. It obviously lets you get deeper down, and you can jump out whenever you want and grab stuff, harvest material, and then jump back in. And it's self-contained, so you don't have to worry about air while you're in it. And you can build more of them. It doesn't take much to build it. Like I said, it's kind of funny because you pick up a few rocks and pieces of glass or whatever, and it'll make you a submarine out of it. But either way, what I like about it is, like a lot of these survival games, and there's other games like it where you're just you're scrounging together raw materials and you're building stuff. Well, in this, when you do get the materials you need, you make something that's really high tech and really nice. It's not like you work all day to put up enough logs to build a hut, you know. As far as like the controls are simple. I mean, you'll jump in and you'll be able to figure it out right away. It doesn't really give you any option that I can tell to move the viewpoint out a little bit to where you can see your character all the time. It's always going to be in first person. You can see your feet flapping and stuff like that, but not a lot of options there as of right now. But for $19, it's, you know, you're getting it. I would say you're getting a pretty good game. You know, at least something that's actually fun and doesn't put a lot of pressure on you. But what I'm really looking forward to is later on you're going to be able to build little ocean, not just bigger submarines, but like I guess you could say houses. And that's always been, like when I was a kid, I used to snorkel and scuba dive, and that was always something that to me just really appealed to me, was the idea of a underwater dwelling where you could dive down into it and you know, just sit there underwater and look at the fish and stuff. It's pretty cool. Obviously this is an alien world. It's not our planet. So there's some fish, like this giant fish. You're really intimidated by it, but you don't know. It may be like a blue whale. You know, it may not attack you in any way. You may be able to just go over and pet it. I don't know. I don't want to find out yet. But it definitely conveys a feeling of exploration that I really enjoy, and like I said, it's just really laid back. You only do what you feel like doing, and no more. And I guess where I would take an issue with it, if I was going to be critical of it, is just that as of right now, there isn't a whole lot you can build that I can find. So you're going to reach a point where you build all you can build, and it's just going to be waiting for the next update from the developers. But I guess I could say it definitely has a kind of a Star Trek Jacques Cousteau type of vibe. You're not going to get a spear gun right away. You have a knife that you can see in all the videos that people put up and I put up, but it's really not a weapon. It's more of a tool. I would have liked to have been able to make a spear gun because there's some annoying shark type creatures that are always hanging around areas that I want to look into. But yeah, this isn't this. The emphasis here is on killing as many bad guys. You know, you're not going to be inundated. You're not going to have an army of fish beating down your sub. You know, it's not like 7 Days to Die or any of the zombie games, or you know. As of right now, it doesn't have multiplayer. It's single player only. So you got to realize that, yeah, it's in its early stages. Multiplayer would be pretty cool on this, but I have to say, if there's multiplayer, then they've got to add more than what I've found so far. There's got to be more of, I guess, objectives, some more complexity to the overall build of the game, the design of it, because you're, you know, there's only there's a limit to how much you can really fight over or feel like you're competing for if you make a game multiplayer. And in this game so far, you know, there's no sentient aliens, there's no real bad guys, I guess you could say. It's basically you versus the environment. You searching the ocean bed looking for stuff. But it's I like games like this. I've always, like when I was a kid, I used to snorkel, and later on I scuba dived in the ocean and around the reef, and this reminds me a lot of it just because of how relaxing it is. And there's actually a lot more to do in this, obviously, but yeah, it's cool. I can imagine where if it was I don't know if I'd want it to be massively multiplayer, but if it was multiplayer to an extent where there was more than just, you know, one or, you know, 4 or 5 people, if there's actually a lot of people, and what you could build and how you'd interact, that, I think, to me, that'd be really cool, because there's so much they can do in a water environment that basically hasn't been touched. I mean, most games kind of, you know, any type of game, water is usually the exception and not the rule, being underwater and underwater gameplay. So, you know, it's always a good feeling when you get into a game that's trying to do something different and get into new territory. And I think this is the kind of game that, because of the setting, you can draw in a lot of people that aren't normally hardcore gamers that just want a relaxing game that just has a little bit of excitement and tension, but not too much. And I don't know. Overall, I would give Subnautica a 8 out of 10, and just for being what it is right now, because it's so rare for a game to be so simple and to draw you in as quickly as it does. But that score could go up once the final version comes out, whenever that is. If they add a lot to it, if they really make you feel like you're building your own little ocean underwater kingdom, whatever you want to call it. But anyway, that's really all I got. I can recommend it. It's a pretty good game. Definitely give it a shot.